All right, we're going to have a kind of smaller webinar today. Our system decided to crap out over the weekend, so none of the reminders were sent out, which is awesome. When you've spent all that time and energy to put a webinar together, it's always a great time. But also, it makes it so we can answer more questions that you guys have and all that kind of stuff. Really quickly, could I get a 1 in the chat if you guys can see my screen? I just want to make sure the screen that I am sharing. So if you have any questions during this, just go ahead and put them in the chat and I will answer them as I see them when we have a couple of seconds. So today we're going to be going through essentially running Facebook and Instagram ads for tattoo shop owners and artists. This is something that has changed a ton over the last essentially 3 to 6 months. Meta came out with this new Andromeda update where it's really pushing a lot more AI targeting versus the traditional using lookalike audiences, using interest targeting, stuff like that. The issue with that is it's great for e-com. It's not great for service-based industries like tattoos because Meta does not care the quality of the lead. It just cares that it gets you them. So you can get a ton of leads for dirt cheap using this, but if they're not filtered properly, if the information isn't sent back correctly to Meta, or if you're using Messenger or on Facebook forums, it's just producing a ton of really, really low quality leads, which nobody really wants. So we still, for the most part, use interest targeting. There's a few exceptions to that, or lookalike audiences, but I will jump into that shortly. And one more quick question. If you can put a 1 in the chat if you are or have run Facebook or Instagram ads, and a 2 if you have not, just so I can kind of gauge where everybody is at. Okay. Perfect. So pretty much everybody has. Awesome. 1.5. That works. And we'll actually go through and quickly build out an ad at the end, just so you can kind of see how we do it and stuff like that. So what I always say, and I go to a lot of webinars, I go to a lot of conventions. I always recommend turning off your cell phone, turning off social media, have something to take notes. And I know there's a lot of stuff that we'll go over. I always recommend picking just like 1 or 2 things that you can implement, because trying to do everything at once usually leads to doing nothing, at least in my case. After even just 1 seminar, or if you're going to a convention, you're doing a bunch of them, trying to do everything at once becomes overload, and then typically nothing gets done. So this is part of our program. If you don't know, we're a marketing company. We work with tattoo shops, been doing this a little over 5 years. He said, my name is Jesse Drock. I'm the owner. I've been doing marketing for a little over 11 years now. Why I believe in Facebook and Instagram ads so much is in that time, I have built 3 companies to over $1 million a year, pretty much solely on the back of Facebook and Instagram ads when they were starting out. And then obviously word of mouth became a big thing. And nowadays we get a lot of our clients from referrals, stuff like that, from shop owners and artists that we work with. So why listen to me? Kind of like I said, this is what I've used to build my brands. And when I first started, I cut my teeth in one of the most competitive industries, which is the fitness industry, which I can't even tell you how many companies there are to do that stuff, whether it's supplements. I did a lot with pre-workout, wrist straps, lifting sleeves, stuff like that. And there's those marketing companies, or those lifting supply companies are a dime a dozen. There's so many out there. And again, learning to master Facebook and Instagram ads 10 years ago was really the key to stand out, on top of doing events, stuff like that. So we currently work with, I think we're actually at 144 tattoo shops in the US right now, a handful overseas. We've been working with tattoo shops for over 5 years at this point. I know in the last 9 to 12 months, the amount of marketing companies that have moved into the tattoo industry is astronomical. It's kind of wild because I get the same ads you guys probably do, where every 4th post is an ad for a marketing company for a tattoo shop. And a year ago, it wasn't like that. So it's been interesting to see all these come in from other industries and try to make money in the tattoo industry, not having tattoos or never been in a chair. It's been interesting to watch, to say the absolute least. Before anybody asks, yes, I am tattooed. I've been getting tattooed for over 20 years. Like I said, the reason I actually started Inklink is 2020 obviously was not a good year for the gym industry, so I was not doing very much then. I had a buddy approach me that owns a shop, asking me if I could help with marketing. Started doing that, fell in love with it. 5 years later, or 6 years later now, here we are. This is part of my team. These are all our managers. Got a great group of team. How they ended up all female, I'm not sure. But yeah, good people. So the info in this online seminar is from 5 years of testing, 5 years of running ads. We spent over $4 million in advertising for tattoo shops. So the stuff I go over, it's not like I'm guessing, like I think this works. It's like what we actually do for the shops we work with. So we know it works. Like I said, everything we do or we go over today is backed 100% by data. Like I said, if you can't pick one or two things from the seminar, focus on doing those. If you want to do more after that, I always recommend taking notes. It makes it just much easier. So what we'll cover today, one, why this stuff is important, Meta versus Google ads. We do a lot with Google advertising too. It is two very different audiences though, so it really depends the kind of clients and what you're looking for. Knowing your numbers, this is super important if you want to know if your ads are working or they are not working, or if you're even profitable. Your client avatar, the Andromeda update, which is what I was just talking about, where they brought in, Meta has started using a lot more AI when it comes to targeting, which does not help tattoo shops. Hopefully in the future it will, but at this point, it does not work super well. The Meta Ads Manager, client or campaign types, the power of the pixel, targeting the right people, using your past client list, the power of copywriting, split testing, which is key to having amazing working ads, how to stop getting ghosted. I'll go over what Inklink does, and I will give you a chance to run before that. It won't hurt my feelings if you don't want to hear and stay and hear what we do, and then any Q&A. And we will actually, like I said, we will build out an ad. So why is this stuff important? Well, everybody's seen how much the industry has grown over the last couple of years. I mean, even just post-COVID, how much the industry has grown. The amount of tattoo shops that have popped up is wild. The amount of people or people that have become artists has increased exponentially. You have these like, quote unquote kids. I'm almost 40, not really kids, but that have always loved drawing and always been talented artists. All of a sudden reasoning, hey, even if the shop takes half, I can still start a job and make $75 an hour. It's a great career. You make your own hours. You can do a ton of cool stuff. You get to travel. So it's really become a career that people want to do. It's not as taboo as it used to be even 6-7 years ago. There's more outsiders coming in. I've been talking to more and more shop owners that come from a business background. They're not tattoo artists, which kind of changes the level that the industry is at for good and for bad, because they come in with a bunch of business experience, and those are the shops we see really dominating at this point. Love it or hate it, that's essentially that's how it is, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. It kind of seems like the tattoo industry over the last year was this undiscovered niche that all of a sudden people are jumping into like crazy. We're seeing marketing become more and more of the standard again, with more and more shops popping up. More and more shops are running ads. Like I ran a webinar like this 2 years ago, and say 70% of the people had never run ads before, and it seems like almost everybody in here has. So it's becoming much more of the standard. 2026 is looking like more of 2025 and 2024, which have not been great years. We're hoping this tax season will be better than last tax season, which wasn't really a tax season, but so far it doesn't seem like that. And there's more money being spent in the tattoo industry than ever. But again, that pie is just getting cut thinner and thinner and thinner. So it seems like shops are getting slower, even though more people are getting tattooed than ever before. And shops are still growing like crazy. And a lot of them are doing the stuff that we are going to cover today. So first thing is meta ads versus Google ads. Meta ads, the biggest issue with it, which is obvious, is people just scrolling on their phone. The AI intelligence of Meta has gotten better about actually figuring out who's looking to get tattooed, but it still is at the end of the day people just scrolling on their phone, which is the biggest downside of Meta ads. The good part is you can target people by how much money they make. So if you're trying to get rid of tire kickers or people that um, are essentially in that lower income bracket. Like we work with a lot of solo artists that, like for example, we have one in California. His minimum is $4,000. Like we're going to show his ads to that top 5% income range that are tattooed, that enjoy sports like golf and stuff like that, because we know they can afford this stuff. You can make audiences that look like your past client lists. If you have a digital consent form, or most payment processors will allow you to download a list of everybody that's paid, you can actually upload a phone number or email into Meta and make a list of people that look like your past clients to serve ads to. Still, still works really well. It is not the go-to like it was a year ago to 1 to 4 years ago. It was at its prime. It still does work very well. It's another thing that we will actually touch on. It's a visual platform, so it's really good for like if you just do traditional. Obviously, you want people to know that before they request a consultation with you. Versus Google, Google decides when it's going to show pictures of your work, and it's less than 5% of the time. Um, so it's a much more visual platform, and it is a better place for individual artists to get bookings and also to get bigger pieces again, because you can essentially show the type of, like if you only show back pieces, people are mostly going to come to you for back pieces. If you just show little bangers, that's what you're going to get the most of. So that mixed with being able to target by income is extremely helpful. Google ads, on the other hand, the great part about it is people going to Google looking up best tattoo shop near me, geometric tattoo shop Seattle, stuff like that. So they're actively looking for a tattoo shop. The downsides with it is, unless you have put your account into expert mode, you're in what's called smart mode. It's essentially like boosting a post. It's very easy to set up, but you lose a lot of the things that make it great and work so well. The targeting is not great with it. It is mostly, from what we've seen, the majority of people looking to either become walk-ins or come in within the next day or two. So if you are appointment only, there's better ways to do it, like meta ads, than using Google ads. If you have a shop or if you just need as many clients as you can get, Google ads is a great way to go. We will be doing a webinar on that probably in about 6 weeks. So just so you see how the difference in how they look, like I said, Google ads is not, it very rarely shows the photos. It allows you to upload them, but it does not show them very often. Versus meta ads is obviously completely visual. The entire point of the ad is to get somebody to stop scrolling, so showing off your work, stuff like that. The cool thing about Google ads, especially when done in expert mode, is you can make your ad take up almost half the screen. Not a lot of shops do this, and again, it's something we'll go into in the next webinar. Um, but it looks more professional, and you can get most of the clicks just from doing that. Like I said, the next free online seminar will be on Google ads. So knowing your numbers, I have met 2 shops in the 5 years I've done this that know their numbers off the top of their head, which is kind of wild. But it's extremely important to know. Numbers you must know to grow. Obviously, your gross and your net income are huge. Your average operating cost is huge. Cost to acquire a new client through marketing. I've met very few shops that know this, but if you're spending money on ads, how much does it actually cost to get somebody in your shop? Client lifetime value, and we'll go into a little equation in a minute. So how you can see if your ads are doing enough to actually make you profitable versus just hitting break even or losing money, which is what we see a lot. And the average tattoo price in your shop. Like if you don't know these numbers, this is one of the things I would definitely do this week, is just figuring out those numbers. It's the only way to know if your ads are actually making you money, if they're scalable, if they're even profitable. So the actual numbers to know on the platform is the cost per lead, which is kind of the number one metric we look at. Cost per lead. And so that's either somebody has sent you a message on Messenger, someone has filled out the form for a consultation, somebody has called your shop. How much is it costing to get people to do that? How much does it cost to get a client? Like how much is it, like I mentioned, get cost to get somebody actually inside your shop into your chair getting tattooed? Because the cost per lead and cost per client are two very different things. But again, when you get all these numbers down, it's literally just simple math to figure out what you need to scale, what you need to do, what's working, what's not working. The average amount spent on a tattoo in your shop, obviously, there's a huge range between little bangers and a full bodysuit or something like that. But knowing what the average person is going to spend when they come into your shop is huge. The lifetime value of a client, like I mentioned, I'm not sure why I put that twice. Things to know about this: cost per lead isn't everything. And that's one of the things I was mentioning with Andromeda using AI for meta ads is the cost per lead might be super cheap, but if none of them end up in your shop, it doesn't matter if your leads are $1 each. Like I'd rather spend $30 a lead knowing that 75% of them are going to come into my shop versus $1 a lead and nobody shows up. So cost per lead isn't everything. But once you have good ads running, you kind of get a baseline of what you should be spending to get a lead. Um, you can take an initial loss in month one on getting a client in your shop if you know the average lifetime value of a client is going to be higher. Almost every company does this. McDonald's, for example, it costs them like $27 to get a new client through their advertising. Like most people don't go to McDonald's and spend $27, but they know that person is going to come back 40 times throughout their life and they're going to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So they're willing to take a hit the first time they come in because they know that average lifetime value is going to be a significant amount more than it costs to get them in the door. So that's one of the things we see a lot is, okay, broke even this month, maybe made a little less this month. Okay, but did they schedule a follow-up? Was it the first piece of a sleeve? Like how often do clients typically come back to see you? Like you're going to make a significant amount of money on this person. It might just not be month one, which is totally fine. Like it costs us to get a new client more than we make the first month, but we know they're going to stick with us for years. So it's 100% worth doing. So how to find your client's lifetime value. Sorry if my camera keeps shaking. It's essentially just gross revenue divided by the number of clients. So again, you can go into your payment processor, or if you Stripe, or if you have a bookkeeper, they can find this information out for you. But it is 100% worth finding. This is one of the number one numbers I would recommend figuring out is the average lifetime value of your client. I also do have a calculator, which I will put the link in for. Just an FYI, I built this myself. It will only work in Chrome, will not work on your phone. I have not got it there yet. I'm not that good at coding. But essentially, you can come into this, put the average spend per visit, average visit per client. It'll spit out how much you're going to make over the lifetime. And then if they refer anybody, you'll get the number for that. You'll also get what you can spend to get a new client. Like anywhere from 6 to 10% of what you spend on an ad is fine. So we'll spit that number out for you. Like I said, 6%, 10% is the goal. So if your lifetime value of a client, for easy math, it's $1,000, you can spend $60 to $100 to acquire a new client, and you are golden. You are in a spot where you can massively scale your ads, and you'll be good. If it is a little over this, it's fine. But if you're saying like 25, 30, 40%, like your ads are not working, they're going to lose you money in the long run. The next thing is your client avatar. So this comes in huge when we're talking about targeting and interests. There are thousands of interests you can use to target people on Facebook and Instagram. And it really comes down to being fairly granular with stuff. Like if you are doing fine line only, most of your clients are probably female. So knowing what your client actually looks like, because you can put that into Meta and then serve as to only those people, and you know you're going to get the best return on your money. So how old are they? Are they male or female? Are they both? Are they married? Do they have kids? Where do they work? Where do they live? How educated are they? What do they do for fun? You can make this amazing list of interests, and then it will only target people that look like that. And again, you can throw in income in here. So, like, how much do people actually make? Are they in the top 50%? Are they in the top 25, 5% income bracket? And so, depending on the type of work you're trying to do, people can't afford it. We almost always get rid of the lower 50% income earners. Again, it's just typically people that haggle over price. As pretty much everybody knows, for some reason, the bigger tattoo, the more freedom they usually give you. Is like, you're the artist, do your thing. And it's always this tiny little tattoos where they want it resized 15 times and one little thing added. So we almost always get rid of the bottom 50% income earner. It just turns into end up being a better client. Said there are thousands, and when I build an ad, I'll show you, but there are thousands of interested target people buying Meta. So if you nail this, your ads will do extremely well. Then Andromeda update. So this is what Meta released. It was about 4 months ago, I think. And it's slowly being pushed into more and more ad accounts. I don't know if it's in every ad account yet, but it's getting close. And this is where they want you to use their AI algorithm to do the targeting for you. Like I mentioned, the biggest issue is it only goes off how many leads can I get you. It doesn't get you good quality of them. So unless you have someone that can like answer the phone every time they call, or you're willing to bring on like we have a shop in the New Orleans area that will take everything we can get them, but they have a professional sales team. So they don't care the quality. They just want them in bulk. And in that case, this is good. The other downside is you need more creative. So you need more images when you're running your ads. For the standard interest lookalike, you run 3 ads at a time. For this Andromeda update, they recommend you run 7 ads at a time. So again, it is more work for a lower quality lead. So again, if you want to follow up with everybody, you don't mind sifting through the lower quality stuff, that's totally fine. But if you're looking for a certain kind of person to come into your shop and you don't want to deal with a bunch of people that aren't going to be a good fit, wouldn't recommend using that. In the future, this might change, and I hope it does. But right now, like I mentioned, for service-based business, Andromeda is not a good. Um, it just doesn't work very well. And again, hopefully that will get better. Like I mentioned, the pros and cons. Pros of using Andromeda is you don't have to do any of the targeting. It is extremely easy to set up, and it learns fairly fast. Those are the good parts. The one time Andromeda can work fairly well for what we're doing is if you essentially send people off of Facebook to your website or something like that, and then you essentially have them go through a questionnaire that qualifies them. So letting them know your shop minimum, your hourly range. We like to put in the range for like a 4-inch by 4-inch tattoo, making sure that they are the correct type of person for the shop. And then if they are, then you only send that data back to Meta. Again, that's more advanced. It involves using APIs, Zapier, stuff like that. But that's the one time you can make Andromeda work pretty well if you're actually qualifying people and then manually sending the information back to Meta. Again, cons, the leads suck. You have to build out that form. You have to set up things like the API and Zapier to only send the good information back. And again, you need a minimum of 7 images running at one time instead of the normal 3 with a lookalike audience or interest-based targeting. Next thing, a curiosity, can I get a 1 in the chat if you actually use the Meta Ads Manager to build your ads versus like boosting posts? Okay, not 2 people. Oh, perfect. Yeah, so the Meta Ads Manager, I know a lot of shops and artists boost posts. Why I don't like boosting posts is you lose a ton of those targeting options. You lose the ability to essentially split test stuff. You lose a lot of the things that make it really great. So the Meta Ads Manager allows you to actually. Bam. Yeah, I'll go over that in a second. Allows you to actually split test ads. Again, it is more difficult to set up. But if you go to adsmanager.facebook.com, or if you click ads when you're inside your Facebook page, it will take you there. But it can't recommend enough if you're going to run ads, doing it out of there instead of boosting a post. Um, so when is boosting a post actually worth it? It's very simple to set up, which is absolutely awesome. It can be used as a really high funnel. So really just starting to get people to know you that don't. That's one thing it's really good for because it's so easy to set up. We personally still do that kind of stuff through the ads manager because again, you get better targeting, you get better reporting. But if you do like boosting posts, it's good for getting your name out there, not so good for creating quality leads. Again, it's simple to use. There's not as much as a learning curve, but um, we don't recommend using it unless you're just trying to get eyeballs on your stuff and not as many actual direct response people to come into your shop. Just so you know, for boosting posts, if you have an iPhone, you've probably seen this, you get hit with a 30% tax. Meta and Apple had some kind of pissing match back in 2020. If you boost a post from a computer, from a tablet, from an Android phone, you do not get hit with that 30% tax, just so everybody knows that. Because it is one of the shittiest things I've seen Apple do. So yeah, if you want to save 30%, just do not boost your post from an iPhone. Bop, bop, bop. If you do want to find the Meta Ads Manager, like I said, adsmanager.facebook.com. This is what it should look like on the top right-hand side. And if you're just actually looking at your Facebook page on the left-hand side, that's where you'll see it. You can get to it. So if you have built an ad, you've probably seen this. There are a ton of different campaign types when you are actually making an ad. The two that we use are lead and awareness. Lead is the goal is to get people into your shop. Awareness is like a digital billboard. So it is kind of like boosting a post. You just get all those extra targeting options, which makes it a ton better. There's also traffic, engagement, app promotion, and sales. I know some people think traffic or engagement or even sales. They're not built how most people think they are. Would not recommend using them. The only time we'll use an engagement ad is if we're doing some complex retargeting stuff, which typically you need a fairly large budget for. Um, so if you are building them, yeah, just go with leads if you're trying to get people in your shop. If you're trying to promote the opening of a shop or a new artist or just try to get eyeballs on your shop, awareness is the way to go. Within leads, there's a few different things you can do. You can do website and instant form or the messenger type of campaigns or calls. Again, we've tested all of these extensively. Calls typically don't work very well. For some reason, a lot of people hit the button and then hang up. Messenger, most of the time people get ghosted. We've seen it occasionally work, but it does not work super well, at least as of right now. And again, with how often Meta changes stuff, this could definitely change in the future. But as of right now and the last couple of years, website and instant forms are the best. One note on that, if you are using instant forms in Meta, make sure it doesn't pre-fill. Make sure they have to fill it out manually. Make sure that you make them verify their phone number. This is something Meta just came out with 6 months ago, which is huge. So they can't put in a fake phone number. And then make sure you click the box to they have to manually review it. All those things will massively help. We used to never use instant forms because the quality was so terrible. Meta's helped by adding those things. So if you don't have a website or a landing page, or you don't want to set up the pixel, and you're going to use instant forms, just make sure you have those things set up because you will get a much higher quality lead and a real phone number because they have to actually type in a code to verify it, which helps an absolute ton. Pixel power. Can I get two in the chat if you've set up a pixel? Okay. So if you are ever, and I haven't met a lot of shops or artists that have, but if you are ever sending somebody off of Facebook, this needs to be set up because that's what sends the data back. So it can essentially optimize, can't figure it out. They make it complex as hell. I'll show you where to get to it, but, and we do have videos on YouTube of how to set it up and such. They don't make it easy after you've done it once or twice. Won't link to my site. Yeah, a lot of times you have to excuse me, manually embed the code in the header, in the global header, which yeah, their power tool doesn't work 90% of the time, which sucks. Um, so actually taking that code and embedding it in the global header is the way to do it. And then a different one on the thank you page, if you have one. Um, I could do a whole webinar on just the pixel. But if you are setting up anybody going off the website, set up the pixel. If you're not, please keep people on Meta, and that means instant forms or Messenger if you do choose to do that. But that allows Meta to figure out who is becoming a lead and essentially optimize. Without optimizing, like if you ever run ads, you've seen it go through the learning phase. That's when it's learning who to go after. If it doesn't get good quality data, it will just not get better. Typically, ads will run the best after a couple of weeks, anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. One of the biggest mistakes we see are people giving up on their ads after they've just been up a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I've seen ads have no results for 3 weeks and then overnight, like 8 people come in. Um, so yeah, just don't give up on it too early. Like I said, setting it up is a must. It can be found in the events manager, which I will show you in just a second. The pixel is also called the data set. I don't know why they changed that like a year ago, but data set and pixel are the exact same thing. So if you don't see something for pixel, but you see it for data set, that's what I'm talking about. And this is also why like a new ad account, if you just started running them, can take longer to get traction, is there's no data in that pixel. Essentially, the more info you can put into that pixel, the better your ads will run every time you launch them, because it can look at that pixel and be like, oh, this is who we're going after, and it will start optimizing from there. Targeting the right people. Again, this is the number one thing to make successful ads. I've seen some really freaking ugly ads get good results because they're targeting the right people. Um, And a lot of the time, shops, especially when boosting posts, will just let AI handle it, or they'll think, hey, people that have seen my page or interacted with my page. Um, can I get a one in the chat if you've ever watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix? It's a short documentary on how much Meta and Google and all of them know about us. Yeah, it's like I do this for a living, and it made me delete Meta and Instagram on my phone after I watched that because it's so creepy. If you haven't watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix, highly recommend it. Again, it's good for advertisers, but it's also super creepy. Um, the good part about that is they know so much about us that if we can give them the right audience, give them those parameters for targeting, they can figure it out from there. They know when you're looking to buy a certain thing. I know nobody's come out and said it, but I know our phones listen to us. There's no way. I know, I'm sure everybody's had that experience where you say something and then you see the ad like 20 minutes later and you're like, there's no fucking way. So creepy, but if you set up your targeting correctly, Meta can take it from there. This is where to use your client avatar, like I was talking about making. Who is your ideal person? Who is the people that are in your shop or your chair most often? Um, Male, female, old, young. I mean, typically, unless we're near a college or a military base, we start our targeting at the age of 30 and go up to 55. Um, just because those people typically have more money for bigger pieces. Again, that changes near colleges, military bases, especially military bases. But just think about your surroundings. Like, what do you buy? Who is the person that comes in the most and is your ideal client? And then put those interests into Meta so it will only show the ads to them. Using your past client list. This is another thing that up until probably 6 months ago was the gold standard. It still works extremely well. We still do it. It's just changed a little bit how it works. But you can essentially take your past client list, upload it to Meta, and make an audience that looks like your past clients, which is wild and extremely, extremely helpful. Like I said, no longer an automatic win, but it is still very good. So I wanted to show you really quick how to do this. Let me pull up my screen. Okay, cool. Okay, I have it open right here. So if you come in here and you go to audiences, come on, man. Create an audience, custom audience, customer list, next, hit next there. And they'll actually ask you to upload a file. Um, you just click that, open, name it, click next, and then you can actually upload that. And then it will ask you if you want to make a lookalike audience off of that. Also, for some reason, if you don't see that or it doesn't show you about making a lookalike audience, you can just come in here, find them, click it, click the three dots, create lookalike. What I recommend, so when it asks for location, it's by country. It's not by state, not by city, which sucks. So it's the country you're in. And then I always recommend, and this is where one of the biggest differences came. You used to be able to do a 5 to 6% audience and it works really well. Now 1% is where I would start at. So just make a 1% audience and then share your ads to those people. They will look like your past clients. So if you have a good customer list, it can be an absolute game changer. Won't allow you to do a CSV file. Let me see. I thought it was a CSV file. Yeah, it should be a CSV. Um, the other thing you can do is download the template. And I'm not saying you have to use it, but it will show you how it should be structured with like headers and stuff like that. So maybe give that a try. Because yeah, it should be a CSV file that you upload, and that's what works. Nope. Like the one that I would just show you, I just downloaded it from our CRM as a CSV file, so it should just work. Yeah, it should just work. You can also shoot me a message on Instagram, and I'll try to help you figure it out. All right, let me go back to where it was. Need to click that. Okay, cool. Let's see. Can you guys see what I'm sharing? Yes. So the list that I would recommend, and again, this has changed as of the last couple of months. Keeps going to PDF or read only. Yeah, I'm not sure. It shouldn't ask when you upload it. But yeah, shoot me a message on Instagram right after this, and I'll help you figure it out. Um, if you can get an audience or a list that is just the people over the last year, that is the best. That's another thing that changed. You should be able to go back as far as possible. And you can use this because you know these are people that are like your past clients. Testing is one of the best things and most important things to do when building ads is testing multiple ads. So you find winners with an audience that you know is good. And then you can start using these ads with colder and colder audiences that don't look as much like your clients and know that they'll be successful. Your creative. So the creative is essentially the image that you are putting on the ad. So when you're building creative, you need to have at least 3 to test. Like I said, I will build an ad shortly. If you are using the AI broad targeting, you do need to use 7 instead, which again, pain in the butt, but it likes more for AI to be able to figure out what's going to work. Um, the entire point of the creative is to get somebody to stop scrolling. That is it. It's to show off your work, and it is to get somebody to stop scrolling. After they stop scrolling, the point of the copy, so the words on it, are to get the person to actually like do the action, go to the landing page, fill out the form, send you a message. But remember that when you're building your images, the entire point of it is just to get somebody to stop. Um, and after that, the copy takes care of the rest. So weird as it sounds, like brighter colors. I know, and again, it obviously always depends, but stuff that's going to stand out, make somebody stop actually scrolling, that is 100% what you are shooting for with your images. Um, these are a couple images of the creatives that we use. We have, I think, 18 right now that we use and switch out that we've tested that we know. Like you can literally screenshot this, build something like this, and I guarantee you it will work because, again, we spent over $4 million in advertising for shops. We know what works. Um, but these are just kind of examples of, calling out the area. So this should be like Seattle area tattoo lovers or just want a new tattoo, click to get a free consultation, making it super simple for people to understand what the ad is about. Power of copywriting. So these are the words that you're putting onto your actual ad. So call out the audience on the start, like, hey, Seattle tattoo lovers, like I just kind of mentioned. And why should they pick you? What do they get out of it? Because I can tell you almost every shop says, get the best tattoo here. But if every shop says that and everybody sees all those ads, it kind of loses its flair. And like these days, it's changed with how many artists are out there. People, like, we all know an artist that is mediocre, let's say, but they're booked out extremely far. And that's because that person provides a great experience for their clients. Experience has become so much more than it used to be. Like I know when I got my first tattoo, it was an old school cholo shop. It was sit down, shut the fuck up, get tattooed, get the hell out of my shop. These days, that doesn't that doesn't work as well. Again, just because there's so many artists that people are starting to prioritize experience. I wouldn't say over the work, but it is up there side by side with how good your work is how the experience is. So yeah, why should I pick you? Are you offering any kind of deals or specials? And then some kind of call to action. Like, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to book a consultation? Do you want them to send you a message? But telling them what to do. Like you mentioned, this ad isn't about you. Everybody says, come here, get the best tattoo. But why should they come to you over the other 100 local shops? Um, like I mentioned, getting a good tattoo isn't enough anymore. Sell the tattoo and the experience, not just the tattoo, because it's like we have ads that absolutely kill it in Las Vegas. There's over 400 shops in Las Vegas. A lot of them run ads, and that is because we don't just say, "Hey, come get a great tattoo." It's we sell the people the experience that they're going to get with the artist and having the tattoo. This is just kind of an example. Again, if you want, you can screenshot this, obviously make it yours. But this is an example of copy that actually works extremely well. Like I said, change it to yours. But we tell people if you're ready to invest $500 in getting a custom tattoo, again, already disqualifying people if they can't afford the artist that we're working with. And also just being upfront about cost, stuff like that. But like I mentioned, selling the experience is as important as selling the tattoo these days. So split testing. Split testing is key. Running multiple ads under the same ad set. And again, when I build an ad in a second, I will do that for you. I know going over a lot of info, trying to get it out and get you guys out of here in an hour. But the first thing is test a couple of ads. Test 3 ads, take the winner, and then run it to 3 different audiences. Take your broad audience, that's AI, take the lookalike audience, take the custom interest audience, and then take that winning ad, run it to those 3, and then see which wins. And then after that, switch up the copy, run 3 ads of the same image to the same audience and change the copy. And this is how you slowly, over a course of 2 to 3 months, find an ad that will absolutely knock it out of the park for the next 6 months, is doing these kind of split tests. Again, that's like even with what we do, even though we spend over $80,000 a month in advertising for tattoo shops, we still split test new stuff. And even with artists, we'll take 3 ads that we know work and we'll split test them because one is always going to work at least a little bit better than the others. And you take that one and you scale it. The ad budget. So there's a campaign, there's an ad set, and then the ads. So you need those 3 ads running, recommending spend anywhere from $10 to $17 per ad set. Anything under that, it's really hard to get traction. The ads just learn extremely slow. So even if you need to just get 1 ad set, put your full budget into that, that's totally fine because or else they'll sit in that learning phase forever and never actually optimize. If you're ever testing stuff, do them separately. Like each ad set should have its own test. Don't try to test image and copy and audience all in one ad set, because then you don't really know if it's the audience or the image or the copy that's the thing that's winning. Um, so make sure you just test them all in their own ad sets. And last thing, and you'll see this setting in there, make sure it's set to ad set budget, not campaign budget, or else it changes how it spends stuff and it will mess up the ad sets. One of the last things I wanted to go over is stop getting ghosted, because it's another issue we see, and I'm sure anyone that's run ads has run into this. So you're 9 times more likely to get a hold of somebody within 5 minutes of them trying to contact you than after 10 minutes. You're 9 times more likely to get a hold of them within the first 5 minutes they try to contact you than after 10 minutes. Now, I know for a lot of shops and artists, it's impossible. You're tattooing or you're sleeping or something like that. But there's been, I mean, companies like HubSpot, Microsoft, Salesforce, there's been millions and millions of dollars spent on tests to see like when is the optimal time to get a hold of people. And within the first 5 minutes always wins by far. And we've seen that in our own numbers. Like we have appointment setters on staff. So whenever somebody gets a lead for one of our clients, our appointment setters reach out within 5 minutes to book that consultation. It's that important. And I know, again, not possible for everybody, but it is huge. 78% of people will pick the first shop they talk to. And these days, especially coming from paid ads, like if you have a word of mouth referral or a repeat customer, obviously they're going to wait around longer. But if you're running ads, people these days have the attention span of a goldfish. So they will, especially on Google, if you don't hear from you within a couple minutes, they're just going to go to the next shop on the list. It's just how it is these days, unfortunately. So yeah, 78% of people will pick the first shop they speak with. So just make sure it's yours. A couple of ways to do this is you can hire an appointment setter. We used Indeed.com to find ours. Crazy thing, you can actually hire people in South Africa. They have perfect English, pay them $1,000 a month, which is amazingly good money for them. And you have a full-time appointment setter right there for $1,000 a month. We have an AI booking bot as well for when our appointment setter's not working. Essentially, it sends a text out within 5 minutes of somebody filling out a form. We use a software called CloseBot. It uses ChatGPT 5. It's kind of creepy in the way you would never know it's a bot. It's definitely the start of the Matrix and all that kind of stuff. But until the AI takes over the world, we will use it to book consultations. But it's extremely helpful because that obviously runs 24 hours a day. If somebody submits a form at 3 a.m, this bot will reach out via text within 5 minutes and actually book them for a consultation. The other thing we do is we have a thing called Call Connect out of a software called High Level. If somebody submits a form for a consultation, immediately what happens is our phone rings, our appointment center picks it up. When they do, it calls the person that filled out the form. So it's a really good way to get them on the phone within 15 to 30 seconds of them filling it out. So again, you're getting within that 5 minutes. It's all automated. You don't have to deal with it. And shameless promotion, if you work with us, we do all the stuff we're talking about. But if you are getting a lot of leads, you're having issues with people ghosting you, or you just don't have the time to get back to them, using one of these solutions is a game changer. All right, let's build an ad. If anybody has any questions while I'm doing this, feel free to throw it in the chat. So, and also if you've never used this before, this is the actual ad manager. So we'll come in here, hit create. Convention, we're going to do leads. Continue. This I always just put as the date that I launched it or the month. So this was what I was mentioning about the budget. We always do ad set budget, and we do not share it with the other ones. It's all you need to do on the first page. Is it possible to add too many interests? The only thing with the interest, it was depending if you are using the define more, it can make it too low. We typically stick with anywhere between 4 to 7 interests at max. There's a lot of time you can get away with 3 or 4. Like, do they like tattoos? Define more, which I'll show you in a second, and then either income or income and golf or some kind of hobby they have. And that typically works extremely well. So you don't need a ton of them, but you do set age, sex, location separately from the actual interests. So on the second, at the ad set level, this is where you do the actual targeting, conversion location. If you're sending it to your website up here, if you're doing Insta forms, this is it. Always leave max number of leads, put in your budget. And this is where you put in your audience. And again, with them pushing AI, they've made it harder and harder to actually find where to put in the interest because they want you to use it, but it is under further limit the reach of your ads. So location, let's just do one in Seattle. One other thing to look out is this population on the right-hand side. You don't need a giant population. We're usually shooting from 50,000 people to about 300,000 people. You just don't need a bigger one than that. The ideal is 200 to 300, but you can get away with as low as 50,000. Just the smaller the audience is, the faster it will burn out. So we don't need that big a radius. Let's go 10 miles. Reach more people. Nope. Anytime it has one of these boxes that's like talks about reaching more people or anything like that, you're allowing Meta to actually use the AI. For limit the reach of your ads. And then here in the detail, so we have the age. Again, we have the same thing. It wants to use AI to go outside the parameters we're setting. So we'll turn that off. Gender. Again, if you mostly do male or female, or if it's both, just leave it. And then interests. So we'll do tattoo. And you typically only need one tattoo category. Oh, sorry, wrong place. Let's look at it. And that is the first one because there's 500 million people in it. So anytime you add these other keywords, it's just overlap. So you only need to use the top one. So we'll do tattoo. And the next thing is define further. So what that is saying is they have to be into tattoos, but they also must be in the top 10% income bracket. They must also like golf, because apparently that's my example today. We'll type in income, and you can see we can do the top 50 to 25, 25 to 10, top 10, top 5. So let's do top 10, and we'll see how big our audience is. So what I'll actually do is just make it a little bigger. There we go. We have 100,000 people. So that's all you would need to do right here. If you are using a lookalike audience, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. You don't change the age, you don't change the gender, you don't change anything. Where'd it go? You just go to use the saved audience, you put in the lookalike audience you want to use, and then it will target those people. So again, if you're using a lookalike audience, you don't need to do, outside of the location, you don't need to do any of this other stuff. And one quick note on the lookalike audience, when you create it, it takes 24 to 48 hours to populate. So if you upload it, create the audience, and then immediately go to build an ad, it will tell you the audience is too small. That is just because it has not populated yet. So you don't have to worry about that. So done with that page. Next thing, I would always turn multi-advertiser ads off. That is just asking if you want your ads shown by other people's. It's a waste of money. It's just a way for them to be able to charge you more. Shut that off. We've never seen it help. So destination, if you're sending them to a website, you would do that. If you're making a form, you would just click the one. If you don't have a form, create one. Again, going over the stuff that we said. Set up creative. You can do video and images or images. I always recommend, if you're doing the 3-ad split, do either 2 images, 1 video, or 2 videos, 1 image. I would always recommend doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing. That has always worked extremely well. Because if everybody, like right now, everybody is running video ads. That is what we see 80% of shops doing. People just get used to it and then they scroll by it. And again, you want to stand out, you want to be different. So always do exactly opposite. And it goes in rotations of every 12 to 16 months, people go from video to photo, back to video, back to photo. It's a giant loop. So just do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. So add image, just grab one up here. If you need to upload them, right there. Make sure these are always put on original. A lot of times they will just default it to this and then your ad is cut off. I don't know why it does that, but make sure they're all on original. Here you'll put in your primary text and your headline. And these ones, again, are another AI thing. They're like, do you want Meta to make slight variations of it and test? Again, at this point, I know what they're trying to do. It's supposed to be helpful, but it has not helped at all. Also, it kills the testing. You don't know which one of the ad copies actually worked because Meta doesn't tell you, which is extremely annoying. And then what do you actually want them to do? So usually click learn more, or you can get, learn more, sign up, book now, get in touch. Next one is it's essentially going to take your image and then make AI. Like, I have no clue who any of these people are. Meta just decided that might make a good ad. We haven't been able to test it thoroughly with the Andromeda update. So I can't give you a good answer on whether these work with Andromeda. If you are doing interest or lookalike, you do not use this. You just click next. And then we turn off all of the enhancements. They just don't work super well. The only ones you can sometimes leave on, it's up to you, is the music. You do not get to pick the music. Meta picks the music. It picks music that it thinks people will like. Lately, Meta's been showing me ads with opera over it, and I do not like opera, so it doesn't work very well, but up to you in the end. Done. And you've built an ad. Simple enough. And literally, if you've taken the copy that we've shown, we've taken the images you've shown, you can go into your ad account, do this. You just need to make one ad, or take one of ours and put different pictures of it and make two essentially of the same and run the ad, and then you're good to go. That's how to build an ad. Any questions about that? Okay. If you have any, just put them in there. Now I'm going to go over what InkLink does. Again, feel free to run. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I'll go over what we do, our pricing, all that kind of stuff. And it's really, really hard to exclude actual tattoo artists. What you can do is go in there, and there is a button that says exclude audience, and you can put in like tattoo as a employer and stuff like that. It's not going to get all of them. It's actually, from what I found, impossible to not let any other tattoo artist see your stuff, but you can lower the amount by excluding essentially employers as tattoo artists and stuff like that. You're welcome. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, I know it's a lot of information, and I'm a little sick, so I'm not my normal upbeat self. Yeah, what we do. Why work with InkLink? So I've got just a very quick. Of course, I closed. I was trying to build everything else. Or no, I didn't, did I? Just quick video of shops we're currently working with. Really quick.
My name is Jimmy Drake.
Can you guys hear that? Yeah.
Owner of Old Soul Studio. Tony Zell. I'm the owner of Space Wizard Tattoo.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Spain. I am the owner of Virgin Tattoo Company.
Phoenix Ink White Buffalo Tattoos.
No Idols NYC.
Celebrity Ink Harbortown. Ornamentalica Ink.
I actually have a company. They're called InkLink. They're awesome.
Well, the previous marketing company almost made me not sign up because the experience was that bad. A lot of clicks, a lot of this, but no return of investment.
We've worked with several marketing companies in the past, and
Unfortunately, they make all the promises, but they don't actually deliver.
Every advertising avenue I've tried, none of it has ever brought me any tangible clients.
And I'll be honest with you, this is the most I've been satisfied with any advertising team I ever had.
Not only am I getting new clients, but I'm getting clients that come back and back and back and back. I get some fucking great clients out of it.
In the first week that we went live, we got approximately 12 referrals, a ballpark sales area of about $3,000. That was the first week.
We saw a almost instantaneous turnaround on it. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, it's been doing good. We've actually gotten quite a few appointments off from that. Close to 45, between 45 and 50 appointments made.
Definitely happy. Definitely a lot of calls.
The results have been great. We've been seeing a huge influx in emails and phone calls, and we are super happy with the amount of traffic that we're getting from InkLink.
You feel that, InkLink cares about what they produce and what they do for the shop.
Stop thinking and just start working with you guys, because there's not a lot of people that are better than you.
It's a no-brainer. I think that unless you know the ins and outs of marketing, you should leave it to the pros and let them do that job for you. And InkLink, they are definitely pros and they know what they're doing. It's well worth it.
If you're thinking about using InkLink, I would say go for it. For me, really, it's allows me to do what I do, and that's to draw, do art, create tattoos and stuff.
Nope. Don't play again. Thank you. Oops. Anyway, yeah, Connor, I know we're getting your appointment center set up for you. It should be live this week. So yeah, if you're interested, I can throw a link in the chat. Like I said, we're currently working with 144 shops in the US, handful overseas. Been doing this for over 5 years. We have a churn rate last year of less than 4%. So that means less than 4% of the shops we work with stopped working with us. Yeah, well, we have two programs. One is $1,500 a month, one $2,500 a month. That includes what we're spending on ads. That will do everything that we talked about in here. We also do it with Google advertising. And then we have stuff to generate more reviews for you, help you move digital, things like that. But I don't like doing the sales pitch, but I'm supposed to do it. So there we go. Any questions from you guys that I can answer? And I will throw the link if you do want to have a consultation with us. And again, you haven't noticed, I'm not really a salesy guy, so there's no pressure to actually work with us. Sweet. Gator, I hope you're doing well, man. I haven't talked to you in a while. No questions? Hopefully that means everybody understood and it didn't go everybody's over everybody's head because I made it too technical. All right. Yeah, feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram, InkLink Marketing, if you have any questions. Oh, that's awesome, dude. 3 shows. Hell yeah. I love it. I'll have to come down to the next one. Yeah, hope it was helpful, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.